Hello, everyone. Great to be sharing with you again today. Today, I wanted at episode 3 to be about budgeting. So, it's for budgeting for people who hate budgeting. That's what today is all about. It's going to be a realistic, no fluff system to stop the chaos that can be your finances and the way you manage them so that you can start to feel a bit more in control. So, if the word budget like seriously makes your eyes glaze over, or it makes you feel a bit stressed, or your stomach starts churning, this video is definitely for you, because today we're going to start talking about budgeting. And so many people hate the word budget. It just suddenly, you can see their face going, oh, they screw it up. I can see their body language just change. Not many people go, oh, yay, I'd love to talk about the budget. All right. People who are sick of spreadsheets, they're tired of being told to cut out their lattes, they don't want to have restrictions on them. They just want to have something that works, which isn't challenging, right? Which is why those I coach, I actually get a really simple budget that you can just pretty much plug in the numbers and then just start operating. And yes, we can always develop them. And yes, they can be grown and pivoted and analyzed, and you can use different apps and things like that. So we don't want to get into that in this kind of series. But you know what? You can start simple and you can have a simple budget that really does make a difference. All right. So you don't need to be perfect at it. You just need to have some kind of system that fits you. All right. And we'll all be very different about that. And so I'm going to show you how to do that today. So let's talk about why most budgets fail, first of all. They fail because they're based on guilt or restriction or unrealistic rules on how you're going to follow them. All right, pretty much. So you start out all motivated, just like when you join a gym, do anything new, you get all excited and go, I'm going to stick to this budget. And you've probably plugged in all your numbers, you've had a moment. All right, so the first week goes really well. And then what happens? Life happens, all right? Suddenly you're tired, you've been held back, you've missed a day or two, or you just get distracted by it, all right? Because it hadn't become a habit yet. Or you might also have an unexpected bill and go, oh my God, that's just blown my budget. Oh, it's a mess. Or suddenly you have, extra birthday parties or birthday dinners, or people come over, or just life. Life happens to all of us, all right? As it should. And so suddenly the whole thing can fall apart. And this plays out in all different scenarios. So it's not you, it's actually the method. All right. It's starting a new habit, and then it's choosing to start something that is sustainable. All right. So that's why I always love start small, sustain it, and then we can grow. If you go too big too soon, you have a much lower likelihood of that continuing. It's just, there's a lot of science behind that. So you need a system that adjusts, and it also does not need to punish. You don't have a budget to punish you. It shouldn't be like, oh my gosh, like it's just going to tell me all the things I can't have. I feel really restricted, because that is not going to be motivating. And all it will do is create avoidant behavior or secretive behavior. All right, we can go into that on another time. So, one that fits your real life is what I'm saying, not your ideal life. So, that's where there's a big differentiation. You've got to know, well, what's my ideal? We'll all have an ideal situation of, oh my gosh, I would love it to be color coordinated and have all of its little sections. And I've seen other people have a budget, and I'm going to plug in everything. And every time I get a bill, I'm going to put it in it and da 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 da. Now, you might be that person, and how cool is that, right? When you are that person, most people are not. If you do that because that's your ideal, but that is not your reality, if you're like I was back in the day, you got kids everywhere and you're off at soccer and dance and you're trying to cook dinner and you're also holding down a job and you've got a relationship, and it's just like, oh my gosh, just finding a few minutes. I seriously didn't even have the luxury of going to the bathroom by myself for a good decade there. And so we've got to be realistic. All right, so my simple 3 bucket method goes like this. I use one very simple system that removes guilt and adds clarity. And this is how it works. You want to break your percentages down. And so if you've got a sum of money, say $100, I break it into three areas. You've got your essentials, which should be around about 60%. It might need to be more if you don't have much income coming in, cost of living crises, but we'll just do some back of the envelope stats. 60% on essentials, 20% on your goals, and then 20% on lifestyle. And that's when things are going pretty well. Obviously, we can be more flexible there. So if you do 60% on essentials, well, what does that cover? That covers your rent, your mortgage, your utilities, your food, your transport, all your non-negotiables. Like I actually can't get through my week if I don't do these things. They are your essentials. All right. So those of you who are getting that pay pack, that has to be siphoned off real fast. And usually you're paying it straight into those so that you don't not have that money, all right, before you spend it. So that's where we can drill down into all of these areas, but just for our YouTube clip, 60% average on essentials. Then you've got around 20% on your goals, and this goes towards debt repayment. So if you've got some extra money now and you go, you know what, I've got some money on a credit card, before you start thinking of investing, pay off credit cards. All right. Their interest rate is so much higher than anything you're going to get in return. You just want to put that down to a bad decision. And now you want to get rid of that debt as soon as possible. All right. So this can go towards paying that debt off. It also might go to savings. It also might go to investments because this is for future you. All right. This allows you to go, yeah, I want to have this, so it might even be to put into your super so that you have more later on. It might be that you choose to invest in a different portfolio. All of those opportunities are there for that 20%. However, if you've got a real debt that's a bottleneck for you, above the rate that you would receive on interest, you want to pay that debt off as quickly as possible. And then the next 20% is what I would call lifestyle. That's the fun stuff, all right? That's guilt-free spending. It says, I'm going to have a dinner out, or I'm going to go out with my girlfriends, or I'm going to go and see a movie. I've got a hobby and I want to enjoy that, So if it's, well, I've got expensive hobbies and then cheap hobbies, but so say if it was skiing, I want to go skiing this year, it's like, well, I'm going to have to save up, so I've got that. So it might not be 20% every week, but I'm going to sort of put into that fund. But it also might be just something that I love doing, and I'm going to get a new trekking bag or something like that. Something that actually just makes life enjoyable. And the problem with the budgets that are just so restrictive and you immediately squirmed was because you feel like you can't have that 20%. It's like everything's got to be done for the future. And it's really hard, particularly some of you who are much younger. If you're in your 20s and 30s, like retirement's like so far away. And then you go like, I don't even know if I'm going to be here on this planet. Like what's going to happen in my life journey? And so it just can feel really hard. So this is why, yes, you should save for your future. Yes, you'll be doing all of those big life plans, but it's all right to go, you know what? I'm working. I'm allowed to spend some money and I shouldn't be feeling guilty about that. There'll be a range of people in there who go, no, you should be saving everything. And like, you know what? If that's you and you want to put it down to 5%, go right ahead. The difference will happen when you're in a relationship, and we're not doing personal development here, but when you'll get someone who goes, no, I'm entitled to that. And I got to live my life. And someone else who's just saved, saved, saved. So opposites attract, and often people who are savers do kind of attract the fundy spenders. It's really interesting how life happens, not always. But those sorts of areas of difference can create a stressor. So basically, there's no right or wrong in any of this, and you can slide it around. But if you're in a relationship and you're sharing money, which is a whole other video, then we really want to make sure that we get that right. So the goal is not for perfection. The goal is just awareness and control. I'm aware of what money I have, and I'm in control of how I'm going to divvy it up. Pretty simple, really. So here's what we need to do. We need to look at the last 3 months of spending. If you can do that, you can print out your statements. You can just look at them online because you're saving the planet. You can categorize them then into what is essentials, what relates to my goals, and what relates to my lifestyle. All right. Average your monthly spend in each of those areas. And that's going to give you a real starting point. You want to just, you don't want to do it and go, I'm going to watch now, because you'll suddenly start being really good. You'll even lie to yourself. So we don't want that to happen. Just go and say, right, from today, I'm going to look back and I'm going to get 3 months of expenses. And it's really easy just to get color coordinate them and go, right, okay, this is my life. This is my reality, not my ideal, because we can work towards a better reality. But at the moment, we just want to be really real. And so then you want to adjust one category slightly each month. So you might do a small shift up, or it might be a small shift down. That's okay. You don't have to overhaul everything straight away, and we can be a bit kind to ourselves. But this method actually then allows you to start getting that awareness and that control. And it also gives you permission and structure. It helps you spend on the things that matter without spiraling into some chaos or some drama of, oh my gosh, because we'll always have those unforeseen. The car suddenly gets crashed into, or a health crisis or something. So we can do that on other videos of how to save those extra rainy days. But at the moment, we want to go, we're spending money every month. What are we spending it on? How do we break it into 3 sections? What percentage are we currently spending our money on in those 3 percentages? And are they working according to the 60-20-20 rule? Some others will have, they might even go 70 and 15, and 5. It's all fine. It's not as if it's a set principle, but there are principles in divvying it up, and you always want to make sure that you are spending more on your investments. So once again, you might be spending a lot in that 60%. You go, yeah, well, I've now saved, I own my own home or something. And you go, well, lucky you. Actually, probably not lucky. You've worked really hard. Well done, you. But you're then probably going to be investing and paying something else off. All right. So that principle works. So what to track? All right, track your patterns, not your pennies, is the old theory. Okay, so in other words, start looking about, what do I do? Oh, I go across the road and I get a coffee, or I get a coffee and something else, a muffin or a sandwich or something, or I go out for lunch every time, or I always, when I'm at the shops, I don't go with a list and I suddenly come home with extra things. It's really interesting time to start going, I'm going to now start just watching, what do I auto do? It's amazing how much money we just spend when we don't even think about it. All right. And suddenly, not that we want to get all stuck, but we want to make sure that we go, oh my goodness, yes, here's some easy. Once you start going through your receipts, you'll go, oh my gosh, look what I spent on coffees. Look what I spent on that. Now, if you go, you know what, that's the best part of my day and it sets me up, and I get one on the way to work, great. That might be one of your 20% fun things. And there, once again, if it works for you and you can afford it, fantastic. But if you do that and you go, that's why I'm blowing the budget on my sporting equipment or other things that I want to do, then it's not so good. You get the gist. So you don't need to obsess over every coffee. All right. Oh my gosh, you don't want that. You want to ask yourself, am I overspending on convenience because I'm exhausted, because I'm tired? I'll get a takeaway because I didn't plan my day well, or because I didn't pre-shop, things like that. Am I undersaving because I don't actually have a clear system? Because I just had money hanging around or extras and I hadn't put it into a saver, I suddenly just spent it. All right. We want to have awareness, because awareness builds control, and control then builds confidence, and confidence brings peace of mind. It brings that, yay, I am in control of my life. And that is just the best place to be. So that's the real goal here, right? Not perfection, not restriction, actually just peace of mind, in our ultimate goal to have financial freedom and independence. So if you've always hated budgeting, you definitely want to try that approach. You can email me, reach out to me at annie@anniegibbons.com, and I'll even give you a template budget to get yourself started. You want something that's super simple, super flexible, very realistic, and designed for actual humans. All right, not a accountant, not a bookkeeper, just an everyday human. All right, and there's so many on the internet that you can actually just download something free. It's not the getting of resources that are the challenge, it's actually just starting it, and then the biggest issue is maintaining it. So if you want more guides on things like this, definitely subscribe if you haven't already. I'm making lots of videos at the moment to share with you. Definitely something every week, sometimes a couple of times a week, to make you feel more confident, more grounded, more in control of your money. Definitely comment below, what's one big area that you have struggled with when it comes to budgeting? Is it something that I've mentioned? Is it something else? Let's make budgeting feel less of a punish, more of a power. That's what we want. We all want to be more empowered. Till next episode, stay well and start budgeting.